Uber told every employee to use AI as much as they want. 4 months later, they blew through the entire budget and had to slam the brakes. Now, here is what should concern you. If one of the largest technology companies on earth cannot figure out how to control AI costs, what happens when your employer tries the same experiment? There is a detail buried in this story that changes everything about how companies will manage AI spending going forward, and I am going to get to it. But first, there is a question nobody is asking, one that determines whether AI actually saves companies money or quietly bankrupts them from the inside. If you are new here, subscribe. I cover stories like this every single day. So, why is this blowing up right now? Because we are in the exact phase of AI adoption where every Fortune 500 CEO is telling their workforce to embrace these tools, use ChatGPT, use Copilot, use Claude, automate everything. Uber's CEO Dara Khosrowshahi was one of the loudest voices pushing this. The company made AI adoption a cultural mandate. None of that was the real problem. The real problem is what happened when tens of thousands of employees actually listened. The number that stopped me cold is coming up. According to TechCrunch AI, Uber has now capped employee AI spending after burning through its internal budget in just 4 months, a budget that was supposed to last an entire year. Think about that math for a second. They did not overshoot by 10 or 20%. They consumed 12 months of resources in 4. That means the per employee AI cost was running at roughly 3 times what finance had modeled. And this is not some scrappy startup that miscounted. This is a company with a market cap north of $170 billion, with an army of financial analysts and data scientists who model costs for a living. They still got it catastrophically wrong. What this means for you is simple. If your company is rolling out AI tools right now, there is a very high chance they have underestimated the cost by a similar margin. And when the bill comes due, the correction will not be gentle. It will be sudden caps, pulled licenses, and in some cases, layoffs to offset the spending. By the way, if this kind of story is useful to you, hit like. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people. Now, Uber's response was to institute spending limits and require approvals for AI usage above certain thresholds. Essentially, they went from use AI for everything to ask permission first in the span of 1 quarter. What I am about to show you is the part most people are missing. Here's the angle nobody is covering. The villain in this story is not Uber. It is the pricing model of enterprise AI itself. When OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, and Microsoft sell API access and enterprise seats, they price per token, per query, per seat, and those costs compound in ways that are almost invisible at the individual level but devastating at scale. One employee running 50 prompts a day does not break the bank. 42,000 employees doing the same thing does. And here is where it gets personal for you. Most employees have zero visibility into what their AI usage actually costs. You fire off a query to summarize a document. You ask it to draft an email. You use it to debug code. Each interaction feels free. It is not. Someone in finance is watching that meter spin and they are starting to sweat. The people caught in the middle are the workers who were told this was the future, who built AI into their daily workflows, who got faster and more productive, and who are now being told to slow down or stop. Dara Khosrowshahi pushed the accelerator. The CFO is now pulling the emergency brake, and the employees are the ones who get whiplash. Stay with me. The last part is what actually matters. Here is the payoff. And this is the part that should reshape how you think about AI at work. The most counterintuitive thing about this entire story is not that Uber overspent. It is that the overspending might actually prove that AI adoption is working. Let me explain. Companies budget for AI as if it were software, a fixed cost with predictable usage curves. But AI is not software. It is more like electricity. When electricity first entered factories, companies underestimated demand every single time because workers found uses for it that nobody had planned for. The same thing is happening now. Uber employees were not wasting money on AI. They were using it so aggressively because it was genuinely useful. The budget was not wrong because people were irresponsible. The budget was wrong because the models underestimated human appetite for a tool that actually works. And that tells us something enormous about where this goes next. Here is my prediction, and I am being specific. Within 18 months, enterprise AI pricing will fundamentally restructure. The per token, per query model will collapse under the weight of exactly this problem. Companies cannot plan when costs are unbounded. We will see flat rate enterprise AI subscriptions become the norm. The same way cloud computing moved from pay per cycle to predictable monthly contracts. The companies that figure this out first, whether that is OpenAI, Anthropic, or a player we have not seen yet, will own the enterprise market. And for you personally, this means one thing. Track your AI usage now. Document what you use it for. Build a case that your productivity gains outweigh the cost. Because when the budget conversations happen at your company, and they will, the employees who can prove ROI keep their tools. Everyone else loses access. That is the difference between being the person who gets more resources and the person who gets a memo saying AI access has been revoked. Before I go, here is your tech tip of the day. If you want to actually monitor how much you are spending on AI API calls, use Lite LLM. It is an open source proxy that sits between your code and any large language model provider. OpenAI, Anthropic, Cohere, whatever you use. You point your API calls through it and it gives you a unified dashboard showing cost per model, cost per project, and cost per user in real time. Install it with pip install Litelm, then use its proxy server mode by running Litelm, model GPT-4 or UO. Every request gets logged with its token count and dollar cost. The reason this matters is exactly what Uber learned the hard way. If you cannot see the spending, you cannot control it. Whether you are a solo developer or managing a team, this gives you the visibility that prevents a nasty surprise at the end of the month. That is your tip for today. Uber burned through a year of AI budget in 4 months, not because their employees were careless, but because AI is so useful that demand outran every model the finance team built. That single fact tells you more about where AI is heading than any keynote speech. Subscribe to FutureEdge. I cover this every single day. See you tomorrow.